Manchester City's emergence as a force of European and English football enters a critical phase as the reigning FA Cup champions prepare for what will be a historic season which will see them compete in the UEFA Champions League for the first time. Mexican side Club America are the opposition tonight on the first leg of their North American tour as part of the World Football Challenge. Alongside Shaka Hislop, I'm Andrew Warsati, and we're coming to you from AT&T Park, the home of Major League Baseball's San Francisco Giants. Shaka, as we take a look at some of the key fixtures here, well, for Manchester City, so much attention will be on them this season.
And they certainly will be. Have not been as active in the transfer market so far this summer as they had been this time last year. Just the signings of Stefan Savic and Gael Clichy. A lot more is expected, probably a lot more to come.
Well, those fans definitely want to see the best of City tonight, but there will not be any Carlos Tevez. That drama rumbles on.
The World Series of Poker returns live for the first time ever. New year, new playing field. Take a seat at the table with the best in the game as the main event unfolds in real time. Every hand uncut, every moment as it happens. The World Series of Poker. Live later today on ESPN.
I'm a mess, I wouldn't do this.
30 compelling stories.
I thought I'll destroy home.
From 30 world-class directors.
I decided after my year and a half of chemotherapy that I'd try and run across Canada.
Retold over 30 unforgettable weeks. ESPN Films presents 30 for 30.
I hate to say rags to riches story, but that's kind of like what it is.
Tonight, Fernando Nation on ESPN2.
Got all of that one.
Well, he got all of that one, didn't he?
Aye.
You got all of that one.
Yeah, he did.
Guess I got all that one.
Prince Fielder, epic power hitter.
The class of 2011 come to Hollywood for sports big night out.
SB goes too.
The 2011 ESPYs. It's an evening of beards.
There he is.
Blondes.
Bieber fever. I get the first glance at the Biebs.
And Bieber. From the red carpet to center stage.
Could be good television.
It's the 2011 ESPYs. Tonight, only on ESPN.
Welcome back to San Francisco. Armando Navarrete, the goalkeeper for Club America, preparing ahead of this one as Roberto Mancini's Manchester City take the first step ahead of the new season. This is their first outing, and tonight, I guess we're going to see a team that is very familiar to most, apart from the additions of Gael Clichy and Stefan Savic, both defensive reinforcements for Mancini. Nigel de Jong, the Dutch midfielder, is the captain for the visiting English side tonight. As we take a look at this Club America side, and for them, they're without their main goal scorer, Angel Reyna, who was injured in a recent friendly against MLS side, the Portland Timbers. And so they'll be looking to contain as well as attack. That is the philosophy put out by their coach, Carlos Reynoso, a man the club has very, very deep links with. Over 40 years he's spent with Club America, the Mexican side. And for this man, well, Navarrete, for him, he gets an opportunity to shine between the posts and ensure that he can make that position his this season with the departure of Guillermo Ochoa to a French side. For Manchester City, this is the team put out by Mancini. Edin Dzeko in attack with Sean Wright-Phillips and Vladimir Weiss in support, Gareth Barry and de Jong in midfield. And we will set to see debuts from Stefan Savic and Gael Clichy. all eyes will be on them to see how they fit into the setup here. And we are almost set now. It's a curious but a wonderful sight. You see the bay in the background, fabulous venue. This is where the San Francisco Giants put together a championship winning run. Of course, the current World Series champions, and tonight a different kind of giant, one which wants to be at the very top in Manchester City, will start their new season. It's a beautiful evening here on the US West Coast. And, well, Manchester City, Shaka, the expectation, the money, they've got themselves in a position to really start to look at trophies, having won the FA Cup last season, which was their first piece of silverware in 35 years. And more than that, they achieved their primary objective, and that was to finish in the top 4. And they have got automatic qualification to the group stage of the Champions League.
Both those achievements significant for maybe slightly different reasons. Lifting their first silverware, the club have proven to themselves, their players, their fans, that they are able to compete with the best, and they are able to win things. And qualifying for the Champions League, they've shown the rest of the world that they're a club with real ambition. So often we talk about players not going to clubs because of the lack of Champions League football. Manchester City can offer that along with everything else they've been able to under their new ownership.
There's Gael Clichy starting at left back. One of the few changes. Here's another. Stefan Savic with the long ball out of defence. It's interesting that Mancini has made signings at the back, if you like, given that Manchester City finished the English Premier League campaign with the best overall record at the back in terms of a number of goals conceded.
The signing of Savic, it's regarded as a prospect more than anything else, and when you consider they are starting centre halves, Toure and company. Toure 30, getting a little bit long in the tooth, might want replacing soon. Lescott, who starts today, he hasn't really hit the ground running for Manchester City. Been found very wanting. Not been the player that Everton let go.
So Joleon Lescott, for him it's another big season, one where he would like to stake his own claim for a spot at the back. So Kolo Toure still has the doping issue hanging over his head, which is disappointing. A big signing he was from Arsenal. Sean Wright-Phillips unable to keep that one under control. The door slightly ajar for players such as Wright-Phillips and Weiss, who are in the starting 11 today. Weiss, who came back from his loan spell at Rangers. Of course, they've got a number of players on their books who didn't even make the trip here to the United States, the likes of Craig Bellamy and Emmanuel Adebayor, who seems set to perhaps return to Real Madrid on a permanent basis. To mention Shay Given, who's on the verge of signing for Aston Villa. One player who did travel here was Jerome Boateng, the German international defender, and he left the camp on Thursday to complete a deal with Bayern Munich.
Futures of two of Manchester City strikers hanging very much in the balance. And Adebayor, I think, surplus of requirements, certainly for Roberto Mancini. The other, Carlos Tevez, who's intent on a move away, as you were saying, Andrew. I think so much is revolving around him, where he ends up, when he moves. Would Manchester City find to replace him? Aguero has been linked with that gap, if it becomes a gap at all. So influential for Manchester City.
Well, Club America will provide stern opposition here tonight, so they're deep into their preparation for the new season, which starts next weekend in Mexico. This is their 5th match preparation for their opening league encounter. So they'll be slightly advanced in terms of fitness and sharpness, but here comes City through Dzeko, the giant Bosnian striker. So many City fans will be looking to the likes of Dzeko and Mario Balotelli, who is part of this tour, to really step up should Carlos Tevez move on.
Two wonderfully talented strikers. Dzeko started so well for Man City in his first couple of games, and then just seemed to fade. It's always a danger signing players in the January transfer window, especially when they move to new leagues. It does take some time to settle. Hopefully with a good pre-season under his belt. Starting with this game, Dzeko can rediscover his form. I saw him one of the most hotly sorted strikers in Europe.
De Jong finding Wright Phillips. It's a sharp turn. The English winger picks out Dzeko. He only had eyes for goal. Actually, it was closed down to take the sting out of the shots. Lescott, Savic, De Jong. Ball for Dzeko, intercepted, picked up by Barry. He's nodded on by Clichy. Clichy's arrival really throwing down the challenge to Alexander Kolarov at left back. Some saying that's could pave the way for Kolarov to move further forward into an attacking midfield role. We have to wait and see. Matches such as these will help paint a clearer picture. Barry putting that one out of play. I guess for many in this squad, Shaka, really this is an opportunity for them now to consolidate, and you can only expect them to improve and mature. The likes of Milner and Yaya Toure, Edin Dzeko, David Silva, various others are into their second season with the club. You would think that the cohesion is going to improve by now.
And so it should. I think the prospect of Champions League football is an exciting one for everybody involved with the club. Try to sort out player personnel, and I think a style that would suit Manchester City and the Premier League. Very defensive in their approach last season. That was reflected in being joint, conceding the least goals in the league last year, joint with Chelsea. I still feel at times they can be a little bit more attack-minded. At times they have had to rely on Carlos Tevez a little bit too much.
De Jong. Savic, who's only 20 years of age, the Montenegrin international defender. Already he's looking very assured, comfortable on the ball, hasn't been put under any great pressure as yet.
It's a good opportunity for Savic, playing alongside these players. De Jong, as much criticism as he gets for his physical approach to the midfield, he's pretty tidy on the ball. Gets it under pressure from Savic there, draws the foul. Here's a player who's just stagnated over the last, I was about to say a couple of seasons, but it's been a lot more than that. Ever since his first move from City, he's not been the player that he once was. Shaun Wright-Phillips.
And there were some comments in the press that Mancini is going to give Shaun Wright-Phillips every opportunity to work his way back into the squad. It's been a relatively quiet summer by Manchester City standards in the transfer window. So maybe the likes of Wright-Phillips could snatch at the chance. They will need a deep squad to cope with both the UEFA Champions League and the English Premier League, not to mention the FA Cup and other competitions. We saw how difficult it was for Tottenham Hotspur in their first ever Champions League assault, and that, you could say, arguably affected their ability to finish in the top four in the season gone by.
Don't expect City to have those problems given their spending part. A couple of things affecting City's seeming inactivity in the transfer market thus far. Get to that in a minute.
The ball played through by Oscar Rojas. The better attacks, and this is a promising run from Vladimir Weiss. He's pacey and very skillful on the ball as the Slovakian international. Another player of whom big things were expected, but just seen surplus to requirements at City and sent out on loan to Rangers, where he had a good season in Scotland. And this is what the pre-season is all about.
It's always tough at this time of the season. Getting your touch, getting your timing. Not a lot is expected of you from your managers or from the fans. Some of them have made the trip across the Atlantic. I guess a good 45 minutes is a good start for everybody. I was talking about City and their relative inactivity in the transfer market. I think the Carlos Tevez saga, I guess is the only way you can describe it, has got to sort itself out before they can make any further movement.
Wyatt Phillips run into trouble.
Also, as the club come to terms with UEFA's financial fair play regulations. The seeming controversy over the stadium naming rights. They tried to balance their books and see them abide by those rules ahead of their expected Champions League. It's a debut, isn't it, for City, now that you think about it? Club with such a wonderful history. Starved of silverware for far too long.
Liverpool now weighing in on that debate, along with Arsenal saying that UEFA need to look very closely at the sponsorship deal struck with Etihad, who for the next 10 years will provide up to £400 million, reportedly, to help fund the club's academy, to mention taking over the naming rights and also the shirt sponsorship. Club America, very good opponent for Manchester City to give them the kind of workout they need. They'll have to hit the ground running. They open their English Premier League campaign at home to Swansea City, newly promoted. Match they'll expect to win. Before that, of course, they've got the Community Shield against their great rivals, Manchester United. The noisy neighbours of City, though, are coming. They've got silverware to prove it now.
These two met in a pre-season friendly last year. 1-1 after regular time, went to penalty kicks. Adebayor, the scorer for City then. Skeda equalised. It's a different look to Club America as well. Under Reynoso, they're keen to rediscover their traditions, their attacking traditions. Which I think is exactly the type of test that Man City would be looking for in this pre-season friendly.
Daniel Montenegro just straying offside there. The Argentine veteran. Wearing the number 10, he's certainly a danger man for, I guess, what you could call a home side tonight. Here in California, plenty of support coming for Mexican teams. Mistake at the back, Dzeko looking to take advantage. And he wasn't too far away from the acute angle.
Two things come into play here. Gaël Clichy with the overlap down the left-hand side. He doesn't get picked up. It's a great ball through. He gets a little bit lucky. Then tries to slot in Dzeko. Navarrete does well. Dzeko, though, when he gets onto the loose ball, it's far too tight an angle. Across the face of goal. Nobody following in.
It's Gaël Clichy. Clichy, a £7 million signing from Arsenal. After some 260 appearances for the Gunners, the last remaining member of the Invincibles side that's brought a glorious season to Arsenal back in 03-04. He also brings Champions League experience to the fold here for City this season. Coughed up by Savage, and the shot was straight at Joe Hart. No problem for England's number one. That was Montenegro.
Again, as this ball is given away here, Savic gets a little bit sloppy. Montenegro doesn't need a second invitation at all. He has support either side. We haven't allowed Dzeko's opportunity. Don't think he could have thrown it back in the net from there. I was just hoping that somebody was following it. Look at Clichy again. He's had his critics, Clichy, during his time, in particular over recent seasons at Arsenal. Does like to overlap. Does give you a chance defensively. I think he was brought for his attacking qualities. We've already spoken about Mancini and Manchester City's own approach defensively. I think he'll prove to be a better acquisition than many think.
If you look to players who have Champions League experience, Clichy is one, Yaya Toure is certainly another. In fact, he won the competition with Barcelona. It was in 2009. Also, so many of players who you would call regular first-team starters for City. Not in the team tonight, but we might see them later on. Phillips finds Barry, now Dzeko. Such a powerful figure.
He's not quick, Edin Dzeko. Very comfortable with the ball at his feet. He's not going to run by anyone. He can get the ball in very tight spaces. Doesn't often give it away.
Clichy for Dzeko, defending the ball well. Wonderful touch for a big man. This is Weiss. Now Clichy looking to measure across. It's beyond Dzeko, and Wright Phillips might nip in. He does! Almost picked out Dzeko, who's claiming perhaps it was a handball. The strike! And it's in off the post. Club America failed to clear. And Manchester City have the lead. There was no chance for Navarrete.
Good hold of play again by Dzeko. Weiss involved, as was Clichy. Wright Phillips just slings this across, more in hope than anything. And it breaks nicely.
It's always nice, isn't it, to dust off the cobwebs and see your team back in action. Manchester City ahead of this mammoth campaign they've got in front of them. Have drawn first blood here in their first match of the pre-season against Club America on 17 minutes. Against Carlos Reynoso's side, who are unbeaten in their pre-season fixtures. They've played 4 matches so far, a draw with Mexico's under-23 sides, and since then they've had 3 wins against the likes of the Portland Timbers and 2 Mexican teams as well in Monarcas and Atlas. They may have met more than their match here. A bright start from City. It hasn't been fluid, but the quality of this team coming to the fore.
Just checks his run, Montenegro. I don't know why. He was in if he continued.
Barry. Lescott. Clichy exercising, keeping the ball here. De Jong threading the needle for Dzeko, and look at him once again, surrounded by blue shirts and yet still able to hold on to the ball. Wright Phillips now. They've drifted offside. there at Stefan Savic. Can play also at right back, and Mancini might be looking at that option. Probably Micah Richards will be the #1 choice for that position. Savic might be needed centrally should problems persist with Kolo Toure. I don't think there's any doubt about Vincent Kompany starting in the heart of defence. Many are saying that he is the natural choice to replace Carlos Tevez as captain, although Nigel de Jong is wearing the armband this afternoon. De Jong anticipating that pass, and the stern challenge as well. Here's the goal scorer, Ryan McGivern, now looking to set up Edin Dzeko.
Players stay down after that challenge from De Jong. This was a bit short from Rossoneri, well anticipated. Crunching challenge from De Jong through midfield.
What are the big questions Mancini will be facing this season, Shaka, when you think about the makeup of his team, apart from Carlos Tevez? What else needs addressing? Because we're hearing that he's very hopeful of signing Samir Nasri by the end of the month, comments which have angered Arsenal boss Arsene Wenger. Mancini obviously intent on still bringing in quality, maybe Sergio Aguero should Tevez leave, but is there something for you that they can do and Mancini can do to make them just take it to the next level?
Well, he's spoken in the past about maybe the arrival of the difference that a player such as Cesc Fabregas would bring to City, allow them to compete, win the title. Nasri's available, and for me, maybe not the player that Cesc Fabregas is right now. Certainly a wonderful talent through midfield. Yaya Toure, though, in his attacking role, I think is as accomplished a central midfielder as any. Talk about the departure of Tevez, the possible arrival of Aguero. How do you find the balance with the front three? Well, the three players, three big-name, big-money players that he's got at his disposal in Dzeko and Balotelli. Guess you need to have options, but how do you keep all of those happy?
You can see the regulations for the World Football Challenge. 3 points for a team that wins inside the regulation at 90 minutes, 2 points if it goes to penalties, and so on. The World Football Challenges, 14 matches in total it's consisted of. To the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona, Manchester United are here as well. United having opened the tournament with a comprehensive 4-1 victory over Major League Soccer side New England Revolution. On this tour, in fact, we will see a rematch between Barcelona and Manchester United. Going back to the Champions League final, the one just passed in May.
Pre-season in terms of signings across Europe, really. Just waiting for that one big move, and then you just feel it's all going to follow from there.
I think we'll see the bigger moves perhaps towards the end of August, just before it closes. The cross is a good one for Wright Phillips.
Again, he just helps it back across goal. That time I think Dzeko's a little bit slow in reacting. I'm not sure if he thought Wright Phillips was going to go for goal there. Well, it was always going to be difficult, if not impossible, taking that out of the air, getting it on target. Again, look at Clichy and his work. He's linked up well with McGivern so far, Gaël Clichy.
And he has been busy on that flank, and it was his cross that led to this opportunity.
Just as you see the ball come out of the air, go over the head of Dzeko, just seems to stop and stay on the back of Valenzuela. Not really giving Wright Phillips an option.
opportunity now. Perhaps developing for Club America. What could they make of it? Cross from Edgar Castillo. Nodded to safety. Lescott was in the way. Edgar Castillo, who holds dual citizenship, one of the rare few to have played for both Mexico and the US national team. What can they make of this set piece? Trailing by a goal. Nodded away by Barry. Oh, it spills, and the ball played in by Rosinet. Just made the angle a little too difficult for his teammate. It's De Jong. McGivern. Barry. Force back all the way to Joe Hart. It's a feature of teams coached by Carlos Reynoso. He certainly believes in ensuring that his teams press their opponent in their own half. He likes to play what he calls an aggressive attacking style of football. He only came into the job back in January after replacing Manuel Lapuente. He's already had some good results. Certainly the club will look to improve. Disappointing finish last season in the Mexican League. To Dzeko. Wright Phillips gets the strike away! And that's a second for Manchester City, midway through the first half.
What a strike by Shaun Wright-Phillips. Comes from nowhere for the player who's still hoping to make an impression on Roberto Mancini. Again, Clichy involved, as is Dzeko. When he picks this up, Shaun Wright-Phillips, it doesn't look like there's a lot on. He's closed down quickly by Corral. Seems to take a little bit of a deflection off the defender. Catches it well. It's beyond Navarrete before he can react. And then in real effect.
A sweet strike from Shaun Wright-Phillips, and that will do his confidence the world of good. McGivern now, City with their tails up, and Dzeko first time trying to pick out that space between the keeper inside that far post. It was a clever attempt, took it early.
Had Vice early on, McGivern. Ignored, went out to Dzeko, tried to take it first time. Looking for that far post area. Not a bad decision by Edin Dzeko. Narrowly wide though.
In the absence of Tevez, Mancini can really look at the option of playing Edin Dzeko as a more traditional target man compared to Tevez. Certainly the Argentine is far more frenetic in his style of play, all action and chases everything. Dzeko is, I guess, the kind of player who holds his position well and brings others into play.
He's a real target man, a traditional target man, Edin Dzeko. He's tall, he's strong, he's got a very good touch. Not pacey, as we discussed. He's a player that's always available. You can put it into him from 5 yards or 50, equally at ease.
Well, De Jong thought he might have used an arm there. He releases Vice, again showing his pace. They've isolated himself now. Two men there covering for Club America. Rosane came out on top.
Just crowded out, Vice. It's almost too quick for the rest of his team, it seems.
So Jesus Molina. George Corral. Club America have had no joy trying to work their way through this stubborn defensive setup. Very compact and City organised already in their first pre-season fixture, showing that they've really picked up where they left off from last season.
What they have done very well is through midfield, City. They've been very quick in getting back, in crowding out these spaces, not allowing Club America any type of freedom. And then when they do win it back, which they have done more times than not, for me a little bit surprisingly, they've attacked with good pace. Weiss on one side, support is McGivern, Sean Wright-Phillips down the right, and they have looked very threatening indeed. Club America have not been able to cope, haven't been able to cope without having as much as the ball as they would have liked.
We've had half an hour here, and the referee reaching for his first yellow card of the afternoon, and it goes to Frederic Vesely.
He's late, isn't he? Very, very late.
Vesely, one of the two surprise choices made by Mancini this afternoon. The 18-year-old defender from Switzerland, looking to take this opportunity, and he won't get many. Together with Ryan McGivern, who opened the scoring for City. The second goal from Wright-Phillips. The English outfit cruising at the moment, but working hard for it. It's certainly a feature of who they are and what they did last season. Memorable FA Cup victory at Wembley against Stoke City, in which Yaya Toure scored the only goal, beating their rivals Manchester United along the way in the semis. Certainly augurs well for even bigger things to come. Wright-Phillips working hard defensively. Mancini will be pleased to see that. He's got a lot of competition, Wright-Phillips, on this flank. Adam Johnson seems to be the one that Mancini does like. We've got David Silva in reserve as well, man who drifts between the lines and dangerous playmaker. Just wonder what will the Manchester City team look like when Mancini finally settles on his starting 11. Look at the players who he's brought here on this US tour. James Milner waiting in the wings this afternoon, along with Micah Richards and Vincent Kompany, Balotelli as well, Kolarov, Dedrick Boyata. These are options perhaps for the second half.
Fantastic options to have for Mancini. Really is. Great looking squad, expensively put together.
Here's Castillo. Jesus Molina playing it through, the flag stays down. Chance here, Vicente Vuoso with the cross. And then intercepted by Barry. It's brought down. And it's a free kick for City.
Julian Lescott keeps him on. Plays a little bit too deep. But even so, you see the effectiveness. You see how quick Manchester City are in getting back, crowing that box out. And it does eventually fall for Medina. It's McGivern, the goal scorer, who's back to make the interception. Barry drawing the foul. Another booking.
Yes. Juan Medina, the man going into the referee's notebook. De Jong's pass was a sloppy one. One back by Barry. McGivern just trying to help it forward. Finds Weiss. Weiss looking to the referee. continues now. Club America looking to get one back before the interval. That was a stinging shot.
It's Montenegro again from distance. Really does not need a second invitation, does he? That's a long way. It's going to take some strike to beat Hart from there.
Well, Hart, who seems to have won out in the battle between he and Shay Given. You go back to last season and how Given was unimpressed after he was dropped to the bench. As a result, Given is on the verge, we're hearing, of joining Aston Villa. He's set to undergo a medical this weekend. Was there a foul there by Wright Phillips? All eyes on the referee, and it's waved away.
The ref's in a perfect position to make the call. I have to say, I agree with the ref. I don't think Shaun Wright Phillips did a whole lot wrong. Just have a little ball over the top. Castillo goes down far too easily. Let's be honest, Shaun Wright Phillips isn't that big a man anyway. Where's Castillo?
He may not be a bigger man, but his name is already shining on the scoreboard this evening. A wonderful shot from English winger to give City a 2-goal buffer.
With some strike. Keep in mind that took a deflection on the way, which would have taken some of the pace off it, and still Navarrete could not react in time.
Clichy with the outswinger.
Safe to say he wasn't brought for his corner kicks, shall
Clichy, like other Arsenal players, certainly might be relishing a new challenge, getting away from the Emirates and the constant focus on their inability to rediscover their winning ways. He's still only 25 years old as the French international wing-back. Dzeko, sharp turn. Was too clever for his defender. He's looked bright early on, the big man.
Somebody I really like a lot in Dzeko. Again, so good on the ball in tight spaces. He's a traditional centre forward, traditional target man.
Tough to contain. Saw Eric Pintermel there committing the foul. Doesn't matter how many players you put on Dzeko today, it seems he has all the answers. Encouraging signs for City fans as they look to life perhaps after Carlos Tevez already, even though he's still a City player currently away on international duty with Argentina. Argentina and Uruguay involved in the Copa America quarterfinals today. Colombia was the shock result today, going down in extra time to Peru. You can log on to ESPNsoccernet.com for all the latest and a full recap of those matches. We'll also have all the key talking points on ESPN Soccernet Press Pass. Don't forget to catch the next edition. Depending on where you are, check your local guides. You can also follow the show online in full.
Maybe another shock on the cards. The Copa America. Still to be decided between Argentina and Uruguay. Still you talk about Carlos Tevez. Put in a second bid for the Argentine. Brazilian transfer window closes on Wednesday, so should have a fair idea this week, within the week. Carlos Tevez' future.
Juan Medina making way there. On in his place is Jose Martinez. Copa America already forced to go to the bench, and still 5 minutes or so to go in this first half. The substitutes immediately involved on that right side. Martinez, the man they call Shaggy, after the Scooby-Doo character because of his hairstyle. Let's see if Shaggy can shake things up here. As we approach the interval, the Mexican side would love a goal just to make this contest a little interesting. Oh, was there a hand involved there?
Can't
strike.
get that, surely not.
Well, it was Jesus Molina who took the shots.
Seemed to strike the arm of Gael Clichy, who was closing him down no more than 2 yards away.
Right, Phillips. Got past one. There was cover there. It's Medina. Castillo. Difficult to play out of the back. Club America City looking to work hard despite their limited preparation. Certainly still a long way off from peak match fitness. Let's have a look at the incident involving Medina. Was that a hand from Clichy?
No, it wasn't. Not for me. Not from that close in.
I think we've seen them given. Just never know, since it's down to the interpretation of the man in the middle. He certainly was forthright in his view there, determines to give that penalty. Medina. Montenegro trying to inspire his team. Rojas with the ball down the flank. It's a good one too. The cross. There's a good defending there from Veseli. Montenegro trying to slip by Lescott. And the referee staring him down. I think was a little unimpressed.
Again, perfectly positioned, the ref. Again, Montenegro goes down a little bit too easily.
As we approach the interval, Shaka, what has caught your eye in this City team, especially the contribution of Gael Clichy? Here he is once again on the ball, and Savage, their two debutants today.
Well, Clichy probably has been the brightest of the City players. Take nothing away from anybody. I don't think anybody's put a foot wrong. Zeker's been impressive. De Jong has been as dominant through midfield as we've ever seen him. Sean Ryan Phillips has looked bright. The time when he's hoping to impress. Not just Roberto Mancini, but anybody who's looking on.
Dzeko chasing back. That was a striker's tackle, I think it's fair to say. Perhaps a little too eager. Now reaching in from behind, always frowned upon by the officials, and he's picked up a booking for his troubles.
Well, not malicious, just a striker's challenge as you describe it, Andrew.
Oh, maybe a slap to the face of Savage. But the referee looking the other way and giving the free kick in favour of Vicente Vuoso. Savage pleading his innocence.
As these two tangle here, Vuoso seems to throw an arm at the face of Savage.
I think they were both tugging at each other there.
That's exactly how the referee interpreted it. 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
He's interpreted this as a challenge worthy of a free kick. Joe Hart not happy with his wall, which was just made up of De Jong.
It's tough with a one-man wall. Maybe needed two. Away with it anyway.
Montenegro, the first time cross. City have dealt with everything that Club America have thrown their way in this first half. It's goals from Ryan McGivern and Sean Wright-Phillips have put them 2 goals to the good at the start of what will be a memorable season for the citizens. The Eastlands Club awash with cash from their Middle Eastern owners. And now, after all of the investment, all of the hype, they look ahead to a season which will see them compete in the group stage, no less, of the UEFA Champions League.
Long-suffering club Manchester City. Long-suffering fans. Rewarded. Well, they have been with silverware. No Champions League football. Oh, how they'd love to get the better Manchester United this season.
Lescott gets the better of Martinez on that far side. Barry getting in the way for a number of these players. This might be the end for them. Mancini will not be afraid to make wholesale changes. Here's Rosine to Rojas. Montenegro, and the referee blowing his whistle. It's half-time here in San Francisco at AT&T Park. Ryan McGivern, after 16 minutes, grabbed the opening goal. And Sean Wright-Phillips, with a clinical strike from the edge of the area, made it 2. Well, it's been a solid start in Manchester City's first match of the pre-season. Club America 0, Manchester City 2.
ESPNSoccerNet.com, the world's leading soccer website. Soccer headlines updated all day, news and features, streaming video, fixtures and results, and in-depth coverage of English soccer, Champions League, Europe and leagues from around the globe. Plus, columns and features from an amazing lineup of writers and bloggers. ESPNSoccerNet.com. It's always there. Bookmark it and log on today.
Don't think about tomorrow. Think about it.
No pain, no gain.
I hang up my cleats. We won the championship.
I felt I was alone sometimes.
Do you have any regrets of choosing Newcastle United over Manchester United when you did?
No, I've got no regrets whatsoever. I was born and bred in Newcastle. I used to go to Newcastle every single week to watch them play. I loved the football club and I loved the area, and it was my town, and I wanted to go back to my place and my club and try and help them achieve things, and I've done that, and I've worked my socks off to try and achieve that. It never quite happened trophy-wise, but I think what I've got and what I had at Newcastle means so much more to me than actually winning trophies. I wanted to go and play for my club. It was my dream to do that, and I achieved that.
There you go, you heard it from the horse's mouth. Who said there's no loyalty in football?
Redefining what is possible once again.
3, 2, 1.
Join ESPN for a 4-day, mind-blowing, hair-raising, rail-grinding, dirt-flying mega mix of man and machine. The monster that ESPN created turned 17.
That kid is awesome.
Wear a helmet, because things are about to get real. X Games 17 begin July 29th, only on ESPN, ESPN2 and ESPN3.com. Get a shot of adrenaline each week on ESPN. Relive classic bouts from the golden age of MMA with UFC, the best of Pride.
Continues to cut his path of destruction.
The greatest hits, kicks, and takedowns. UFC, Best of Pride each week, only on ESPN.
So the first thing that I do when I pick up my bowling ball is I put my 2 fingers in the hole. As you can see the thumb hole there, I'm actually not going to use that hole at all. My left hand will come off the ball and I will push through like that. So technically I'm a one-handed bowler still, but I have a 2-handed approach. Push it through. And there's a strike.
Watch the Geico PBA Team Shootout all this month on ESPN and ESPN2.
Welcome back. We're coming to you from AT&T Park in San Francisco. It's the World Football Challenge. Manchester City leading Club America by 2-0 at halftime. What is the first clash of the pre-season for the visiting English outfit? We've got big plans, and so those plans include a number of changes. You can see the substitutes warming up already in preparation for this second half. Let's have a look at how it all unfolded. Edin Dzeko, who was very impressive up front. Close there, but it was a difficult one from the angle. On 17 minutes, Wright Phillips at the cross. It would eventually spill to the Northern Irishman, Ryan McGiven. And what a finish that was.
Great finish by McGiven. God knows, what's Rojas doing? Should have cleared his lines. He doesn't. Closed on well by McGiven. And that's a great first-time finish off the inside of the opponent.
Midway through the half, talk about good finishers. Dzeko doing the hard work. It comes to Wright Phillips, who catches the keeper by surprise, taking this strike early.
Just shifts that a yard to his right and absolutely thumps that. Gets a deflection off the way, which would have taken off some pace.
Dzeko was eyeing a goal himself, putting his effort just wide, but they did more than enough, City, in their first outing of the pre-season. 5 attempts on goal, and 2 have hit the back of the net. That's a healthy rate, especially since they've been sitting on a beach for a good part of the last few weeks. But they've looked pretty sharp, and already they're in the groove and carrying out Mancini's orders rather effectively against a Club America team that's well advanced ahead of the new Mexican League campaign, which gets underway next weekend. We're going to take another break now, but there's plenty more to come. Sit tight. This is the World Football Challenge.
The class of 2011 come to Hollywood for sports big night out.
ESPY goes to
The 2011 ESPYs. It's an evening of beards.
There he is.
Blondes.
Bieber fever.
I get the first glance at the Biebs.
And Bieber. From the red carpet to center stage.
Could be good television.
It's the 2011 ESPYs. Tonight, only on ESPN.
We've had any excuse to show awesome video on the show in the last 2 years. We call them weird web stories.
Yes.
So the 5 that we thought were the coolest, we had to start with this one because it kind of became what our show was about for a while. Pool domination. This one actually is just for Colin. It is Swiss jetman Yves Rossi flying across the Grand Canyon using, yes, a jetpack. This is Adam Sneffen, the 101st Airborne Division, bringing in the ball before the Michigan MSU game.
I'm petrified of doing this myself, but it's rockin' video.
Dorm golf, nothing better than college.
Did we screw off this much in college?
And then this one because it involves one of my faves. Connor, University of Georgia, doing that. Charles Barkley making an appearance.
Talk about cheap shots.
Sports Nation on ESPN.
He burst onto the scene in '96.
That's gone. He creamed it.
Full of talent, the captain delivers in the clutch with ease.
It's a home run!
Now Derek Jeter has over 3,000 hits.
Derek Jeter has done it! History with an exclamation point!
There's nothing like watching the best players put it all together.
Major League Baseball on ESPN.
If I'm this mess, I wouldn't do this.
30 compelling stories
I saw it. I'll destroy home.
from 30 world-class directors,
I decided after my 1.5 years of chemotherapy that I'd try and run across Canada.
retold over 30 unforgettable weeks. ESPN Films presents 30 for 30.
I hate to say rags to riches story, but that's kind of like what it is.
Tonight, Fernando Nation on ESPN2.
The World Series of Poker returns live for the first time ever. New year, new playing field. Take a seat at the table with the best in the game as the main event unfolds in real time. Every hand uncut, every moment as it happens. The World Series of Poker. Live later today on ESPN.
Welcome back. The World Football Challenge brings the best in the business to the United States of America. The likes of Real Madrid, Manchester United, Barcelona, the European champions, against a host of Major League Soccer's top teams. Juventus have made the trip as well. Sporting from Lisbon, among others. Manchester City's next clash in this competition sees them take on MLS side, the Vancouver Whitecaps. And you can see that one here on ESPN, depending where you are. Check your local guides. Log on to ESPNSoccerNet.com for more information about our coverage of the World Football Challenge, which opened an emphatic style as English champions Manchester United put 4 past New England Revolution. Federico Marqueda back from his loan spell at Sampdoria, grabbing 2 goals in that match. And at half-time in the second match of this competition, Manchester City leading by 2 against Club America. Interesting one coming up later in Los Angeles between the Galaxy and Real Madrid. City will turn out again for the clash with Vancouver. And looking down the list of matches, the big one, take notes, on the 30th of July between Barcelona and Manchester United, a repeat of the UEFA Champions League final from the season just past, and that will take place just outside Washington, D.C.
What a game that'll be. If Manchester United win, do Barcelona have to give the trophy back?
No such luck for United. City, they're on song at the moment, and now we await a host of changes. That's next.
From Progressive Field in Cleveland, the stage is now set. Fans stroll in hoping to witness history as the captain, Derek Jeter, continues his march toward a magical milestone of 3,000 hits. Swings and misses. The runner trying to move up to third. Here's the throw. It's into the outfield. Here comes Cabrera in to score. 2-0 Cleveland. Well, the Yankees get a little sloppy here. Here's a swing and a towering fly by Swisher. Sizemore back all the way to the wall. He's there to leap up, and what a play he made. Grady Sizemore. Well, he could not have timed that leap better. Swinging a ground ball toward that shift. And another great stop. Going to first. He did it again. What a spectacular inning defensively by Asdrubal Cabrera. Almost single-handedly, he saves that run. Trey with a 1-0 pitch. Swinging a liner to center field. Granderson there makes the catch. The runner tagging up. Brantley coming on in. He will score, and it is 5-0 Cleveland. Indians want to hang on and win this series for 1-2. Breaking ball in there. Got him looking for strike 3. And the Indians win it 5-3. And the Cleveland Indians take the series from Jeter and the Yankees 2-1.
In rugby, you can guarantee there will be blood, sweat, but no tears. And now you can also guarantee there is one website that's in the thick of it with big stories, highlights, news, and views. ESPNScrum.com.
Playback ESPN. Major League Soccer. Sounders versus Timbers.
Hassan now streaking down the right side, driving pass, walk to the end line, goes in front. It's Rollo. Very capable off the set piece. It'll be Montero. He's tied it up. Fredy Montero. The Colombian shot took a deflection, goes in. It's 2-1 Portland. Nagel clips it in. Rosales. Fredy Montero has tied it up. Oh, nicely over the top, Lamar Nagel. Lamar Nagel gets brought down to the penalty spot we go. Seattle a chance to go up 3-2 now, and it is a red card. Alonso side foots it in. It's 3-2 Seattle here in the 83rd minute. And that's it. Seattle 3-2 winners over Portland here today.
Back with big news breaking right now. Argentina has been eliminated from the Copa America. Does that mean Carlos Tevez can now join up with Manchester City on this tour of the United States? I think not. He probably deserves some kind of break and some holidays to mull over his decision. Manchester City having received a renewed offer of around £40 million reportedly for his services. Corinthians, surprisingly, the Brazilian club, is the one tabling it.
That's what I was thinking. Does he just take a shorter flight over to Brazil?
Well, there's a number of things that could happen, but you just never know with Carlos Tevez. He talks about wanting to be closer to his family back in Argentina. Is that the motivation truly for wanting a move away from Eastlands? He was the joint top scorer in the English Premier League with Dimitar Berbatov last season. You would think on that basis alone that Mancini simply could not afford to let him go, and yet there's a school of thought that suggests that perhaps Manchester City are better off without him. He is a hard worker. He has been committed on the pitch. It's been away from the playing arena where the problems lie.
That's the thing with Carlos Tevez. I think on the park there are a few better players in world football. Just so much more to the game nowadays. In particular, when Manchester City hope to go as a club, it's got to be a 24/7 commitment, and at times you don't think Carlos Tevez hasn't given that to either City or Mancini.
Speaking of Mancini, one Andrea Mancini is now out up front for Manchester City as they ring the changes here at this second half, leading 2-0 against Club America. Shaka Hislop alongside me, Andrew Orsatti. Here's another change. Alexander Kolarov, the Serbian wingback. Vladimir Weiss is still out there on this wing, closest to us. Gael Clichy, it looks like, is the one who's made way. This is for some tackle. Kolarov was clean too. Kolarov now really has to roll up his sleeves and show that he is the man to slot in at left back. It's going to be a fierce battle between he and Clichy this season. Well, he does have options, Mancini, since both are quite flexible. And so they could probably even move a little further up into midfield. The shot is a testing one to deal with. It's Stuart Taylor, who's come on in place of Joe Hart, already called into action just 90 seconds after the restart.
It's a decent save by Taylor. Ball certainly was moving. Just a start that Club America were looking for.
Here's Yaya Toure on the ball, the Ivorian midfielder, the hero of their FA Cup campaign, scoring those winning goals both against Manchester United and Stoke City in the semi and final respectively, both at Wembley. He really stepped up on the big stage to help deliver the club's first piece of silverware in 35 years. And it was Castillo who let fly.
Long way out yet again. A lot of movement on the ball. Good save. By Taylor.
It's Kolarov. Toure for Weiss. Now Mancini. This is John Guidetti on the ball. One of the youngsters who's been brought on tour for the experience to just be around the first team. Adam Johnson. Well, playing it through, there was a late challenge on Micah Richards. And he stayed on his feet, otherwise perhaps there would have been a cause for a penalty there.
It's a defender's attitude by Micah Richards. Had that been a striker, I'm sure he would have gone down. I thought there was contact. See here, look at Richards. Maybe there wasn't. Pimentel got his challenge just right.
It's Montenegro. Feeding it out to Martinez. Oh, the cross and the header was a good one. Taylor with another save in quick succession here.
Just seemed to be wrong-footed initially. Stuart Taylor adjusted very well, made the save. But again, worrying, as much as Manchester City have rung the changes, it does take some time to settle in. 2 chances, not even 5 minutes on the second half clock. Mancini asking questions.
Toure. Kolarov. It's Toure. Toure, who's got far more attacking responsibility in this Manchester City side compared to his days at Barcelona, and as a result, his goal-scoring rate has almost trebled since moving to Eastlands. Obviously enjoys getting forward. So somewhat deceptive is Yaya Toure. And look again here, the cross from Martinez. And the header was goal bound, if not for Taylor.
Good header by Palacios. Just come on himself. Crossed by Martinez, first half substitute.
Vladimir Weiss, one of the few players to stay on in the second half. He was in the starting 11. He's still out there. Otherwise, really, just about everyone else in the City team just been brought on. Adam Johnson stripped of possession. One back by Andrea Mancini, committing a foul in the process. In case you didn't know, yes, there is a connection between the number 52 Mancini and the coach. He's his son.
Added pressure playing for your dad.
Yaya Toure mopping up after Vincent Kompany was out of position. This is James Milner. Not the best of balls from James Milner. Certainly not the same Milner, the kind we saw at Aston Villa. But again, one of the players who is now on the ball who has only had one season, and you have to give them, I guess, the benefit of the doubt. Now in time to mature into the role. Richards, Milner, Johnson. Kolarov, they switch from one flank to the other. Mancini. Well, thought about the shots, and an enterprising piece of play there from the manager's son.
Look who's your target. Kolarov, and look how far forward he is. Ready. Can you imagine a left side with both Gael Clichy and Kolarov? How attack-minded that will be.
Montenegro playing it through. It's a great ball. Oh, this time he did beat Taylor, but it goes into the side netting. Wonderful piece of play from Montenegro to link up with Warsaw.
Great ball, but look at Kompany. She seemed a little bit slow. I wonder if he's expecting the flag. Often you could accuse Vincent Kompany of being behind the play or a bit lazy.
Montenegro, you saw the danger of the man they signed from Independiente, the Argentine club, back in 2009. There's plenty of European experience as well. The likes of Marseille in France, Real Zaragoza and Osasuna in Spain, also SATA Moscow in Russia. He's been capped 6 times by Argentina, and he is their go-to man. The 32-year-old playmaker. On that occasion, he gave Mancini's new look back for a giant headache. They've looked sluggish, haven't they, since coming out after the interval?
It has been a slow start to the second half. I guess you can see on the one hand, it's expected given it's a pre-season friendly, but given how sharp the starting 11 looked in the first, I am a little surprised.
Speaking of looking sluggish, Micah Richards, I'm not so sure he's actually at his ideal playing weight right now. I might be mistaken, he is a muscular lad. And in fairness, he did set off on a great run earlier, which almost led to a goal-scoring opportunity for City. Here he is, quite comfortable on the ball and proving me wrong here, just gliding by opponents.
But he is big. And I mean that in every sense. He has bulked up a lot over the last couple of seasons. Even during spells of last season, I felt he was getting a little bit too muscular. So I'm not accusing him of finding the key for the cookie cupboard just yet. Maybe spent some hours in the gym, maybe a little bit too much time in the gym. We'll soon find out.
So Milner providing the block. It still drops for Club America player. He snatched at it on that occasion. The effort from Corral. More changes now in the offing for the Mexican side. Well, Taylor's been busy since replacing Joe Hart at halftime. Already making 2 crucial saves. One thing about Richards is that he's certainly a refreshing element to this Manchester City squad. He's been a member of the senior team since 2005, coming through the youth system. For once, they did not have to reach for the checkbook to find, I guess, what you could call a world-class right back. He's certainly proving that now, 23 years of age, and he's already forced a player like Jerome Boateng out of the club, although Boateng did have his injury problems, never really settled, and he's already moving on to Bayern Munich.
Micah Richards continues to exceed expectations for me. And one of the beauties of having a player like Richards on your roster is that he can play anywhere along the back four. Yes, he is preferred at right back. He will slot in anywhere and do a job.
Savic can play at right back as well. Stefan Savic and Gael Clichy having made their debuts for Manchester City this afternoon here in San Francisco, both going off at half-time. Among the 10 changes made by Mancini, the only player retained, Vladimir Weiss, the Slovakian midfielder. Here he is now, Weiss, having moved over to that right flank. This is Yaya Toure.
That was sloppy, Yaya Toure's standards. Easy ball out to Johnson, or so you would have thought.
You suspect that Toure will be so crucial this season, whether or not he can go on and build on what he achieved the last campaign, especially with the Champions League campaign on the horizon, competition he knows all about. Here's Weiss. He's been rather active and mobile. There's Weiss, obviously looking to make a point here and force his way into Mancini's plans for this season. Of course, Manchester City will have to eventually submit a list to UEFA for the Champions League, and the kind of squad they have, well, some are going to have to miss out. It's as simple as that. Adam Johnson's on side here. Weiss is waiting, but he goes alone, rather selfishly. He saw the keeper off his line when Weiss might have been the better option. It was completely unmarked.
And support Johnson. I thought Weiss was the easier option. Hints of offside, but Guidetti just stayed. And that great area of affecting play and an active player. Whichever way, flag stay down. No question about Guidetti's offside.
And left intelligently. He obviously saw the run in behind by Johnson.
It's well anticipated by Johnson.
It's all part of the build-up to the new season in England. The traditional curtain raiser of the Community Shields taking place on August 7 at Wembley Stadium between the FA Cup winners, Manchester City, the English Premier League champions, Manchester United. Next Monday, Vancouver Whitecaps will be trying to give Manchester City a run for their money. LA Galaxy, a week from today, will be coming up against Mancini's men, and the Italian manager's old club Inter will also be in the mix as part of the build-up at the end of this month. Here's Richards, not trying to go past one too many, and he's picked up an injury in the process there. Doesn't look to be too serious, although he's a little slow to get moving. He's just down on his haunches now. It's one thing all clubs will be wanting to avoid: injuries to key players. This is a purposeful run, and the tackle by Andrea Mancini is clearly a foul on Oscar Rojas.
It's very late here. Mancini, not malicious. Have a little run by Rojas.
Daniel Montenegro fancies this one. Stuart Taylor just organising his wall, which he only has one man in it. That's well overblown.
Poor ball by Montenegro. Expected better from him there. Just to start this second half, Montenegro's dropped a little bit deeper. A little bit more creativity expected of him.
Mancini rushing to the sideline here just to issue some instructions. Clearly not pleased with what he's seen here in the first 15 minutes or so of this second half. They really haven't produced a chance of note, although moments ago Johnson certainly was in the clear, and I guess that has to go down as an opportunity.
Well, it's never easy coming into a game in the second half. Mancini did make wholesale changes at half-time, which Reynoso did not do. Brought in Palacios, just brought in Layun to add to Martinez in the first half. result, they've not really got to the pace of the game, Manchester City. But still, Roberto Mancini would be expecting more of his players.
Yaya Toure doing it on his own now. Well, Johnson with a rather awkward flick. Toure trying to win it back, committing the foul.
By Toure. Poor flick by Johnson. Track back well. Good man down. Draws the foul. I think Yaya Toure will be key for Manchester City during the course of this season, as he was last. So much goal in the FA Cup final. His performances towards the back end of the season, reminiscent of the Toure of Barcelona. One of the players alongside the likes of Carlos Tevez can single-handedly dictate the pace of a game. Wonderfully talented roster. Talk about players like David Silva, but still, these players are unable for me to do that single-handedly, such as a Tevez or a Toure.
Johnson. Johnson, such an exciting winger. A player signed from Middlesbrough back in January of last year. I guess the debate continues as to what is the ideal attacking setup for City. Mancini does like to play on the counter, use men who are effective both in attack and in their defensive duties. He likes a disciplined setup, but there's a feeling he, in an ideal world, would like to play a 4-3-3 with players who can do a bit of everything.
I think with Johnson, very good going forward. Not as disciplined defensively as I'm sure Mancini would like. He's very creative, very tricky, good on the ball. Just more is expected of him defensively. I think if he can deliver that, see himself figure far more heavily for Roberto Mancini.
Where do you stand on their midfield when you look at the likes of Milner, Toure and Barry, the ones more often than not occupying those three positions? He's looking at Nasri, and I repeat, if you haven't heard the news, Mancini came out in the press on the eve of this match and stated quite openly that he hopes to sign the French midfielder from Arsenal by the end of the month, and Arsene Wenger has called it out of order, talking about a player who is under contract elsewhere. And he says basically that Mancini should know better, and if not, he should be told and informed that he's overstepped the mark.
I agree with Arsene Wenger. Things are done differently in different countries. That you almost have to accept. Certainly in England, one of your fierce competitors talking about your player in that manner. I have to say, I agree with Arsene Wenger. Slightly out of order.
Nasri would be a welcome addition. More creativity would certainly give Wenger, or should I say Mancini, great depth. The strike from Milner deflected.
Certainly well, but even then, we talk about Manchester City and what might be their starting midfield, and I think so much of it is dictated by whether Carlos Tevez stays or goes. With Tevez, you can play one up front and pack your midfield, and that way you can see the inclusion of a Nasri, Toure, Silva. Without Tevez, do you play two up front with Dzeko and Balotelli as we have now, unless there's another rival? If you do play two up front, then again, you've got to talk about the balance. Keeping De Jong, who I think is an automatic starter. Will this man figure, James Milner? I know Roberto Mancini thinks very highly of him. Will Gareth Barry figure? He's got so many options. He's
confirmation of the change made by Club America. Isaac Acuna, wearing the number 16, is on in place of the Argentine playmaker Daniel Montenegro. So Club America don't want to take too many risks. They have the business of their new season to deal with. That is far more important. They finished 6th last season when it came down to the final 8 in Mexico. And they also fell at the first hurdle of the knockout stage in the playoffs. UNAM came away with the Clausura honors, and well, clubs such as this will be expecting a vast improvement. They've had to make a number of changes in this off-season. 7 players have departed, including a couple icons in Guillermo Ochoa, who's joined Ajaccio in the French First Division. Pavel Pardo, another veteran of the Mexican national team, he's gone. They brought 6 players in, the likes of Paul Aguilar among them, the Mexican international not involved tonight, and Ecuador's Christian Benitez, who's away on international duty at the Copa America, the former Birmingham City striker. So Aquivaldo Mosquera, who's with Colombia. Repeating, if you haven't heard the news, Colombia and Argentina, 2 of the favorites for the Copa America, have been eliminated today at the quarterfinal stage against Peru and Uruguay. Uruguay beating the host nation Argentina on penalties. So now they will meet Peru in the semi-finals.
Just can't help but wonder if there's a 3rd shock on the cards with Brazil meeting Paraguay tomorrow.
Another dangerous cross into the area, and Club America chipping away, making the most of the space afforded to them by this second half City team, which hasn't clicked as yet. Certainly not in the same vein as the team which came out for the first half.
To say the first half performance by Manchester City a little bit surprising. Certainly made Club America look a lot less than ordinary.
I guess there's also the feeling that the fringe players are the ones who are determined to do that little bit extra, perhaps to work their way into Mancini's plans. So perhaps you're seeing a number of players out there now who have been favoured if you go by last season. But nevertheless,
there's only a couple who would automatically make a team sheet. Yaya Toure, who we've spoken about. Company, who's, for me, Manchester City's best defender. Certainly was last season.
What about for left back? Is a Kolarov or Clichy for you?
I'd play Clichy at left back with Kolarov slightly advanced. I like the option of that Kolarov gives you. He's got a wonderful left foot. Trouble is we've barely seen 2 more attack-minded left backs than Clichy and Kolarov.
Yaya Toure, it's delightful for Johnson, but it's a little too heavy, and gave Navarrete the opportunity to intervene.
Crowd certainly enjoyed it. Nice little exchange between Johnson and Toure. Just slightly overplayed it. Johnson had to readjust. Oh, should have scored that, Boyata. Had a free jump at it. He'd be disappointed. Another little look. That's the thing that players like Toure and Johnson bring to Manchester City. That understanding. That foresight by both.
Usually you'd be expecting one David Silva to be probing in that kind of fashion. But he's not in the team tonight. For many fans who've made the trip here to AT&T Park in San Francisco to see the second match of this World Football Challenge, they would be somewhat disappointed with Silva. Certainly is a very gifted playmaker. The world champion, of course, with Spain last year in South Africa. Once all the pieces fall into place, you do have to look to Manchester City as a team to challenge Manchester United, Chelsea and Arsenal for the league title this season. The question is, can City win the ultimate prize domestically?
Oh, what a battle that'll be in Manchester. United in some quarters still being linked with Wesley Sneijder. I think that'll be a wonderful signing for the reigning champions. Manchester City, by their own standards, sluggish in the transfer market so far. Everybody has been. Just know that the next 6 weeks is going to be rather frenetic for all.
Another substitution made by Club America. And off goes Vicente Vuoso. It's been a good workout for Man City, of that there's no doubt. The pre-season, Xhaka, on a tour such as this, what is it that Mancini will ultimately be looking to deliver? Both conditioning and cohesion on the pitch obviously would sound obvious, but what is the priority right now, do you think?
Well, right now it's not a lot, especially this early in the pre-season. Just hoping to get his team out there, try to get some match fitness, a little bit of that match sharpness. All elusive match sharpness. As long as players make the effort, he's not going to ask for a whole lot more. He's going to start to dictate how he wants his team to play this season. As long as they follow instructions marginally, I guess he'll leave satisfied. It's never easy at this time of the season.
How difficult is it, do you think, after spending a few weeks working on your tan on the beach?
It's more difficult than I think many people realize. You get into the habit, physically and mentally, of training every day. I think when you miss a couple of days, it's hard to get yourself back. That's a harsh handball. Called by the referee's assistant. It's a right smile from Johnson. Takes the defender on. Gets a bit of a deflection, pops up and hits his arm more than anything. I don't think that could or should have been given.
15 minutes remaining. And it's still Manchester City 2, Club America 0. Both goals coming in the first half. Ryan McGiven, 21-year-old Northern Irish midfielder, was operating wide on the left in the first half. He got the opening goal, the beneficiary of messy clearance at the back from Club America. Sean Wright-Phillips. He certainly delivered an unstoppable strike from the edge of the area. As Manchester City's new season is up and running. Kolarov just watching that one all the way out. Reynoso, the 65-year-old Chilean manager of Club America, who's been with this club for the best part of over 4 decades, whether as a player or a coach. He's about to suffer his first defeat of their pre-season. Of course, they can turn it around here late on, and much of the fizz has gone out of this contest. The Mexicans came close early in the second half. Stuart Taylor was called on a couple of occasions. It's away by Pedro Boyata, and now Milner is helping it on intelligently into the path of Johnson. Johnson, even on his knees, still able to hold on to the ball and switch a play out to Weiss. Gets assistance now from likes of Kolarov. It's a Mancini. Andrea, that is, cannot complete the pass.
It's a poor pass by Mancini. Just work hard to get back. That'll be pleasing. That wouldn't be. Poor challenge, Mark, if you can call it that. Rojas.
Frustration there. The young Italian. Still dragging Rojas back, and free kick now. A set piece that perhaps Club America can take advantage of. Just to spice things up in the final stages here. It's Miguel Layun with the delivery. It's touched by Milner. Still, it's not away. So brought down delightfully by Guidetti. Now Weiss with some space. He's still running with plenty of purpose as the Slovakian. Very nearly picked out Milner, but the defense is stepping up.
Well, Club America got numbers back very quickly and limited the options for Weiss. Well defended. And on the other end by Toure.
Toure's power and determination coming to the fore there as he was tracking back just to rescue the situation for his side.
Complete football. Yaya Toure does everything so well.
Taylor to get rid of that one quickly.
Taking a lot of chances defensively. Stuart Taylor trying to start it short, that's fair enough. But at times when he's given company the ball under a lot of pressure, doesn't seem to put company off any.
He will get the credit for making a couple stops in this second half compared to Joe Hart in the first, who really didn't have to make a save of notes. I think that perhaps goes down to the collective organisation of Manchester City in the first half. It was a different kind of performance, one that did produce 2 goals and restricted Club America rather effectively. All in all, Mancini will be glad just to have got 90 minutes under his belts to help shake off the cobwebs as they embark now on what's going to be a very interesting campaign for them to both cope with the domestic commitments and the European stage. Milner. Another change to be made here. And off goes Juan Valenzuela. And it's Renato Gonzalez. And the young attacker on in his place. With 10 minutes to play. Just working through the bench now. Giving everyone some time. It is a special moment for these players from the Mexican club to come up against an English force such as Manchester City. Might grab one late on here, but it was Kolarov who stuck a toe in.
I guess Reynoso wouldn't be pleased with the performance. Not thrilled with the scoreline. Keep in mind, again, Club America, a team that traditionally come out to attack. That's why Reynoso was brought back. Felt they'd gotten away from that a bit as a club. But then without you leading scorer in the Reina, without your new signings, Aguilar and Benitez, can understand why maybe they've stuttered slightly by their standards. It's easier for Manchester City, particularly in the first half, than they would have liked. Certainly I expected. Kids get a bit of a run out.
Can only be beneficial in their development. Reynoso, hugely respected, the highest scoring foreigner in the history of the club. 86 goals over almost a decade in the colours of Club America. He was an attacking midfielder, and hence his philosophy as a coach follows suit. A shot from Kolarov. Now Yaya Toure. Popping up in the area and hitting it straight at the keeper.
And Guidetti in support. Wants to go himself. Navarrete stood his ground.
This may be a friendly, but certainly the referee still has to attend to some business. Another yellow card.
Just making his notes, keeping track of everything, the ref. Not been a game that's been malicious or dirty in any way. Typical pre-season friendly. Gets even more so. Navarrete makes way.
More youngsters getting a run here. Patricio Trevino waiting now to take his place. Coming on in the place of Eric Pintamel. And a young goalkeeper as well in Leonin Pineda. Martinez. A deep cross. Richards dealing with it. Spectacular overhead attempt. And reaching out. It's Daniel Palacios with the boots trying to steer it goalward. Difficult one to control.
Just came at him rather quickly. Just good anticipation from Gonzalez. Force to Palacios. Can't stay at goal bound.
It's Guidetti leading the line, the 19-year-old Swedish-born striker. Richards wants it back from Johnson. Strong challenge from Company. I thought he had won the ball fairly. Company perhaps being groomed as the man to wear the armband when the season gets underway in earnest. There was talk that he delivered one inspirational speech ahead of the FA Cup semi-final against Manchester United in Carlos Tevez' absence. Remember, he was injured during that stage of the campaign. Milner just ran over that one.
Company's a player who almost grew before our eyes during the course of last season. Maybe the season before, talented but a little raw. Always made the odd mistake. That was not evidence at all during the course of last season.
You saw how he dealt with that situation there, winning it in the air and bringing it under control with his feet. He was one of the earlier arrivals at the club in this era that has seen the club go out and spend big. Came from Hamburg in the Bundesliga 2008 for the bargain price of £6 million. I say the bargain price because certainly they're not afraid to spend 3-4 times that amount on any given individual since. Yaya Toure and James Milner have all come at great expense. Edin Dzeko as well. Taylor, well, they made a meal of that, but did enough.
Had to come a long way, Stuart Taylor. It's always difficult when the ball's just dipping just over players' heads, as it just was, to keep your eye on it. Didn't make a mess of it. Got away with it. Talk about the price paid for Vincent Kompany. As much as it was a bargain at $6 million, how much would a player of his talents be worth now? I'm afraid to think. To say he certainly made me a huge fan of his over the course of last season.
Vice. Mancini. It's a good sliding challenge to stop the Italian. It was Miguel Layún who provided it. Interesting choice, isn't it? Mancini's to bring his son to the club, a club that certainly has huge ambitions, yet he gives himself an extra unwanted pressure. Certainly not sure how his son will deal with it as well, but I'm sure he really needed to do that to himself.
It's one of those things that I think results will dictate how that goes as much as anything, not just his own performances. If City are winning, nobody will question anything that Mancini does. On the other hand, if they're losing, whether Andrea Mancini plays or not, every single decision of his dad's will be questioned, including the decision to bring his son. Is he good enough? Is he a distraction? As I say, when you're winning, those things don't seem to matter.
But all that is for another day. It's been smooth sailing here in the Bay Area of San Francisco at AT&T Park. And the opening match for Manchester City and Club America of this World Football Challenge for 2011. Mexican fans enjoying the moment to see their team up here on the West Coast. A team which hails from Mexico City. They play at the famous Estadio Azteca, of course. The venue where Mexico's under-17 national team recently won the World Cup. So more good signs for Mexican football. Yaya Toure bursting forward and setting up Guidetti, who was so close to a third, and bangs off the post.
Great run by Toure through the middle. Then slots it to Guidetti in his stride, who takes it well first time. Well, the upright denies him.
Mancini looking for Guidetti. Picked up by Johnson. Here's Richards.
Sure, Guidetti would have loved to see that nest on the back of the net, especially after he saw his counterpart, McGivern, find the back of the net himself. Not much injury time played at all, was it?
Full time here, and Manchester City open the new campaign with a victory thanks to Ryan McGivern on 16 minutes, and Sean Wright-Phillips followed up midway through the first half to give Roberto Mancini's side a victory that will be one small step in the right direction as they embark on what is going to be one tough campaign. Your overall impressions? Shaka, not a lot has changed in the off-season for Man City, apart from the rivals of Gael Clichy and Stefan Savic.
Well, it's always tough to judge a team on their first pre-season outing, but some of the old faces look to be getting back to their best. City looked very convincing in the first 45, grew in the second after wholesale changes during the break by Roberto Mancini. As he puts his team together, it'll be tough to deny them. Already starting to look like a force.
Well, it's all done here. We'll take a break. More to come after this.
The World Series of Poker returns live for the first time ever. New year, new playing field. Take a seat at the table with the best in the game as the main event unfolds in real time. Every hand uncut, every moment as it happens. The World Series of Poker. Live later today on ESPN.
What a season it's been. The All-Star break is over and the races are heating up. Some teams are hot and want to keep their momentum.
Did he get enough of this one? Up it goes. She's gone. He's done it again.
Others need to step it up.
And voted. They'll get nothing and like it.
Which clubs will make the right moves? We'll just have to see how it all plays out.
The Indians have done it again.
Red Sox, Rays, live Monday on ESPN2.
The class of 2011 come to Hollywood for sports big night out.
SB goes to
The 2011 ESPYs. It's an evening of beards,
There he is.
blondes,
Bieber fever. I get the first glance at the Biebs.
and Bieber. From the red carpet to center stage.
Could be good television.
It's the 2011 ESPYs. Tonight, only on ESPN.
If I'm this mess, I wouldn't do this.
30 compelling stories
I saw it. I'll destroy home.
from 30 world-class directors,
I decided after my year and a half of chemotherapy that I'd try and run across Canada.
retold over 30 unforgettable weeks. ESPN Films presents 30 for 30.
I hate to say rags to riches story, but that's kind of like what it is.
Tonight, Fernando Nation on ESPN2. Redefining what is possible once again.
3, 2, 1.
Join ESPN for a 4-day mind-blowing, hair-raising, rail-grinding, dirt-flying mega mix of man and machine. The monster that ESPN created turned 17.
That kid is awesome.
Wear a helmet, cause things are about to get real. X Games 17 begin July 29 only on ESPN, ESPN2 and ESPN3.com. A few things you should know about your daily recommended sports requirement. The dosage for a healthy sports fan might vary, but only ESPN serves up the perfect mix of news and information.
When I saw the rundown today, I knew it was going to be a good day.
How do you come up with this? That's the secret. It's always nice to have someone drop by to talk baseball.
Pretty much going to tell you who's going to win the MVP.
All week on ESPN2.
Back to San Francisco as we wrap things up here in the second match of the World Football Challenge. Manchester City defeating Mexico's Club America by 2-0. And it wasn't a huge turnout at this venue, which accommodates just over 40,000, the home of the San Francisco Giants. So Manchester City didn't exactly turn on a Giant-like performance, but nevertheless, it's only just beginning for them. And next, they take on the Vancouver Whitecaps from Major League Soccer. Be sure to join us for that. Depending on where you are, we'll have coverage of that and much more as we look ahead to another big season of football here on ESPN. Real Madrid against the LA Galaxy also taking place today. That one about to kick off. And it's certainly going to be followed with great interest as Real Madrid start their season. Also, so many of Europe's top clubs have made the trip to North America. And we'll be following their fortunes here on your worldwide leader in sports. Don't forget, for all the latest news and views and analysis from the beautiful game, just log on to ESPNSoccerNet.com for a full report on what transpired here at AT&T Park. Manchester City with 10 attempts on goal, both goals arriving